Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like being a DJ,
Mm,
especially in Kyoto?
absolutely. There's a pretty good, how do you say, market, I guess, for music here. It's not like as big as other places, of course, in Japan or other places in the world, but I mean, like, there are stout artists who've come from the city. I mean, some of my favorite Japanese artists um, have come from this part of Japan. I mean, whether it's Kyoto or Osaka or Shiga, to be honest. And so there's a musical history. There's an underground movement of sorts. There are people who come here, like international artists. I don't know if I should mention their name or not, but there's an American that I came across really recently. I went to a Mexican restaurant, actually not too far from where I work, and they were playing this song that was bonkers. It was so cool, and I did a search and found what it was. I was like, this song is too cool, and I ended up linking up with the artist through Insta and whatnot, and now we're Insta buddies. And that dude was here. He was here, like I wouldn't even have noticed, but I found him because I went to a Mexican restaurant, in the heart of Kyoto City, and now I have his records. I spun them, 2 weeks ago at a performance, and so I mean, there really is stuff going on here. There really are people coming into Kyoto, leaving Kyoto, making moves in Kyoto. I mean, it's a good spot, and it doesn't have the biggest clubs in Japan. It doesn't have like necessarily the most famous clubs, but there are clubs with 20, 30 years of history. There are clubs that bring in and have brought in huge international names. Yet again, I don't know if I should say these names or not, but I mean, just like some of my favorite American, German, Dutch, British, of course, Japanese, French artists. I mean, like it's like what that artist was here in Kyoto? Are you kidding me? I mean, it's a good spot. It really is.
You
Um,
know,
mm,
it seems like you're pretty passionate about
music,
music.
absolutely.
So, as a DJ, do perform at those kinds of
Mm,
events, or do you just collaborate, do your own
mm.
thing? What's that like
Yes
here?
and no. I've played the stages that huge Japanese performers have played. Not so many international performers per se, um, but yes, and some friends of mine and I threw parties for a while. But I'm going to be 43 next year. I'm a grown ass man, and so I'm not throwing parties as much as before. And so yeah, like I really, how do you say? I guess kind of did that DJ life for a while now, with COVID-19 and what that's done to a lot of different industries, both restaurants and nightlife and whatnot. I'm not really playing dance floors anymore, but kind of background music sets at cool cafes and nice restaurants and at bars and things like that. So yeah, I mean, but I mean, really, this city has brought through huge artists. I didn't mention it by them by name earlier, but I mean, Daft Punk has played here in Kyoto. The French former, I guess, unit, duo, whatever you call them, artists. They played here. Another French actor named Ed Banger, he played here. A British act named Fatboy Slim has played here. The German acts Digitalism, they've played here in Kyoto. Another German named Loco Dice, he played here. He's a beast. I believe he was like hip hop and then leaned more into techno. One of the Canadian, I'd call him like kind of second tier isn't the right way to say it, but maybe second generation Canadian, huge techno guy named Richie Houghton. He's been here tons of times. I mean, just like, and yet again, I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've never seen any of these people on any bills in my hometown, and to come here to see them, to meet them, to have dinner with some of these people, to go out to sushi with some of these people, to sit across a table, with a guy who, basically, was on, how do you say, the dance floor when Detroit House, that's a lie, Detroit Techno, when techno was being made. I mean, like, and like, I'm looking at this dude, like, are you kidding me? It's bonkers. And speaking of techno, Derek May, the one of the what the Bellevue three, who made techno. Like I had coffee. I don't actually drink coffee. He had coffee. I had tea. At a restaurant before one of his shows here in Kyoto. It's just like this didn't happen in Oklahoma. Like I'm, of course I'm nobody here in Kyoto too, but I mean it's just like small dreams came true. My favorite artist on the planet is a man named Osawa Shinichi. He goes by the moniker Mondo Grosso, or I guess Big World maybe in Italian. And I didn't actually realize that he was Japanese until I got here and happened upon a dance club that happened to be where he was performing that weekend, and the manager was a nice guy who had been lucky enough to meet his parents on an airplane on the flight over. Spent 12 hours talking to his mom and dad from Osaka about their son who lives in Kyoto and does house music, and now I'm his guest of honor at the show for Mondo Grosso, who yet again was my favorite act and continues to be my favorite act. And I've had lunch and dinner with him and talked about girl problems, and it's just like yet again this didn't happen in Oklahoma. I mean, so many happy memories, so many of my most affirmed self type experiences happened here in Kyoto, and so I owe Kyoto a kind of not a debt per se, but I mean the love that I have for this place is coming from a real honest happiness, and so that kind of happiness, that kind of love, I want people to see that, to feel that, to know that those kinds of stories happen in this city. So I don't consider myself an ambassador of Kyoto, but I love this place, and the more people that come here, the more people that that I meet, the more people I can kind of share that with.